Hey guys, today I'm going to share with you my recipe for chicken parmesan. It's something that my dad used to make for us when we were kids on Sunday nights, and it takes a little bit of doing to get the perfect crispiness and juiciness. So I'm going to share with you my 6 tips for how to get an awesome chicken parmesan. So my first tip to success actually begins at the supermarket. So when you are buying your chicken, go ahead and spend a little extra money on purchasing chicken cutlets. And the reason I say that is because getting a chicken breast to cut evenly in half, which is what you want for chicken parmesan, can take some doing. And I find that when you have a skilled butcher that has already done it for you, you will be assured that your cutlets are the exact same thickness, and that will really help all of your chicken be done at the same time. And then the other thing I would say is as soon as you get home, take the chicken breasts and salt them. So one of the secrets to getting a really juicy chicken parmesan is to make sure it's well salted at least 24 hours in advance. Because chicken parmesan has 2 steps of cooking. There's the frying part that's going to get our crispy exterior, and then there's the oven part that melts the cheese and cooks the chicken all the way through. And you can imagine with these 2 cooking temperatures that if your chicken is not well salted, it can get pretty dried out. So I say salt at least 24 hours in advance. And that way your chicken's all ready to go. Then when it comes time to make the dinner, you want to begin by boiling your water first. Just make sure it's well salted, and we're going to use this for the pasta. And then the next thing you want to do is get your sauce going. So in a medium saucepan, you're going to add 1 15-ounce can of pure tomato sauce. So you don't want any flavoring in it because we're going to add our own. And to that, you're going to add 1 clove of minced garlic, a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And then I also like to add a tablespoon of olive oil. And the reason I add the olive oil is because it creates a really nice, smooth and silky texture to the tomato sauce. And you can just leave that on your stovetop on simmer while you prepare the rest of the ingredients. So tip number 2 has to do with breading the chicken. Now there's a lot of different techniques out there. This is my favorite because it's going to give you the crispiest exterior with the most flavor, and it's going to prevent your breading from sliding off your chicken. We've all seen that happen, and you don't want that. So here's what you do. You want to get your dipping and breading station all set up first. So in 1 shallow bowl, you're going to add 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. In another bowl, you're going to add 1/3 cup of just classic store-bought breadcrumbs, 1/3 cup of panko breadcrumbs, and that's going to give us a really nice crunch. And then 1/3 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese for flavor and also some additional crispiness when that cheese melts. It's so good. And 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning and some salt and pepper to taste. And you can whisk that all up with a fork. And then your 3rd bowl, you're going to add 1 egg that you've beaten. Then you're going to take your chicken cutlet. You're going to dip it in the flour first. That's going to coat our chicken. Then you're going to go in the egg and dip that on each side. And then the final step is to just go in the panko breadcrumb mixture and make sure that you are getting all of those breadcrumbs to coat on all sides of the chicken. So you don't want really any egg showing. You want to make sure it's fully coated. And you can put them all on a plate until you have all of them done. Tip number 3 has to do with frying your chicken. So I really recommend, if you have it, a cast iron pan, because cast iron is such a great heat conductor that it'll keep your oil at a constant temperature and will really give you a wonderfully crispy golden brown piece of chicken. And then you also want to make sure you have enough oil in the pan. So this isn't really diet food, but it is good. So you do want to make sure you have at least 1 inch, 1.5 inches of oil so that that chicken really has enough oil to fry in. Otherwise, it tends to get browned in some places and then it's all breadcrumby in other places. You want a nice crispy piece of chicken. While your oil is heating up, there's 2 other things that you can get done that will help with the timing. So the first thing you want to do is get your pasta cooking. So I really love to use this buccatini pasta, which is like spaghetti, but it's hollow inside. And it has a really great texture and it looks really pretty on the plate. If you can't find buccatini, you could also use spaghetti. I don't break it up because I want to keep it whole because that's going to also help with our plating. And I'm going to show you how to twirl it up so you get those nice pretty mounds. And then the other thing you want to do is take about 15 cherry tomatoes, toss them with just some olive oil, salt and pepper. We're going to place these tomatoes on a rimmed baking sheet and place a roasting rack on top because they are going to cook under our chicken when it comes time to put the chicken in the oven. So once your oil is nice and hot, go ahead and start to fry the chicken. Don't crowd it, so you may want to do 1 or 2 at a time, and just flip it when it starts to turn golden brown. and allow it to turn golden brown on the other side. And then you can remove it and then see how easy this is. You're going to just place it on that roasting rack, which is all ready to go. And the reason why I like the roasting rack is this is going to keep our chicken nice and crispy when it goes in the oven. And you will thank me when you take your first bite and you see how crispy and delicious it is. It's all about the roasting rack. Tip number 5 has to do with the sauce. You don't want to overdo it when you put it on top of your chicken. I say 1 to 2 tablespoons at most, and you want to make sure that you leave a little crispy perimeter around the chicken. We've all had those chicken parmesans that are like drowning in sauce, and then they just become really bready and you lose the crispiness. So tip number 5, don't overdo the sauce. Tip number 6 has to do with the mozzarella cheese you choose. So when you're at the store, look for the already grated mozzarella cheese that says low moisture. That is really the best kind of cheese to use, because if you use mozzarella that's packed in water, or sometimes mozzarella that's labeled as fresh mozzarella, there's too much water in it. So that when it hits the oven, all of that water starts to seep out and will create a runny sauce underneath and also a soggy piece of chicken. So that is not the best type of cheese to use in my opinion. I think you're better off with the already grated low moisture. So we're gonna bake these at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, just until your cheese is melted and the chicken is cooked through. Then at this point, your pasta is probably ready to go, so you can drain it, and then to keep it warm, I like to actually toss it with the sauce. That will prevent it from getting really sticky in the pan, and it's super easy to just heat up quickly. And when your chicken is done, here are a few tips to plate your dish so that you have a pretty dinner. So you'll place 1 chicken cutlet on the plate, and then I like to garnish with some fresh basil that you have created a very thin chiffon on, and you can go ahead and sprinkle that on top. And then to create the pasta mounds, it helps if you have a large serving fork and spoon. Go in with the fork and twirl it until you get a nice mound. Then take the serving spoon and put that under the mound and transfer it to the plate. And then you'll see you can like easily position it and then remove the spoon. If you don't have something like this, you could also use a carving fork. You basically just want a large fork that's pretty tall so that you can get that pasta around it. And then go ahead and take your Parmesan cheese and with a potato peeler, just curl off maybe a few pieces of Parmesan and you can put that on top. And then when you buy the fresh basil at the store, sometimes you can find there are those little tiny leaves at the bottom of the plant. Those make for really great garnishes. So go ahead and find 1 or 2 and pop that on top of the pasta. And then those beautiful little cherry tomatoes that we roasted, you can put those around the plate as well. For more of my favorite Sunday night dinners, you can click the playlist here. And if you'd like some more pasta recipes, you can click here. All right, you guys, I'll see you back here next time. And until then, make it a great week.